I'm going to walk through the deadlift squatting thing, because a lot of people will say things like, well, you shouldn't squat like with load on your back, or you shouldn't do deadlifts because it's bad for your back. Or they throw these like blanket statements out about workout stuff, and it drives me crazy because we all know my favorite "it depends" thing. And when you just say, well, you should never do this or you should never do that or whatever, especially when you're talking about like not a pillar, but one of the main basic movement patterns that you would do in a gym, which is hinging, then in what world would it be reasonable to tell a 14-year-old learning how to work out that he shouldn't do deadlifts? So I'll lay that out there. I'll let you throw your thoughts on that before I get going.
Okay, my thoughts on that is I agree that there's a blanket statement that means absolutely nothing. Yeah. I've had that, for example, I went to a chiropractor a few years ago, which was fine. I needed one because I was too stupid to take care of myself. So I needed something, a little bit of relief. And the first thing that they said too is, oh, you shouldn't deadlift or you shouldn't squat. They said actually both things. I'm like, what world do you live in? You're actually you're supposed to be an intelligent person. You can't just throw out a blanket statement like that, like you should not deadlift or squat because it hurts your back. That's not what hurt my back. It was because I didn't prepare myself and I was like not mobile enough. So what bothers me about that statement when someone says that is you're giving information, blanket information to a kid. Now if I'm the physiotherapist and I look at the kid and what is he, 13, 14?
The kid, yeah.
Okay. So 13, 14, my first question would be, how much did you deadlift? Because any trainer in their right mind is not starting a deadlift with 6 plates on each side saying, okay, lift that. Let's see if we can throw your back out. There's a beginning part of it. And I'm assuming when you did it with this person, it was less than 100 pounds on the bar.
It was almost 0 pounds.
Okay. So what's the difference between touching your toes and doing a deadlift like that? There's nothing.
Exactly.
So it's a blanket statement. The problem with that statement, it goes back to the parents, and the parents think that, oh, the gym is doing something wrong. We should never do that kind of stuff. Be careful. Be careful. Don't do deadlifts. You're going to hurt your back. So that's number one for me. It doesn't make any sense. It's a blanket statement. It's kind of like what I said about working out in our last podcast. It's like people throw out studies and all this stuff, but the studies are done on, not done on athletes. They're done on people that are sedentary. So now, did he ask the kid, did you do any stretching? Do you do any mobility? What type of deadlift is it? They did ask more questions that, or is it just easier to say, just don't do deadlifts? So this guy doesn't want this kid to get strong ever, I guess.
Okay. I got a couple
I
layers.
Could go all day on this.
I know. I'm going to keep ripping it for a while here. So I got a couple layers on this. So the first one, I got a second point about the kids like going to physio and stuff that I want to touch later.
I know.
But first, as a physiotherapist or as a chiropractor or as anyone who's like in the like wellness rehabilitation space, so I'm talking about like what people would call like alternative forms of medicine isn't the right word, but whatever. When you're not an MD doctor. Yeah. So this is your chiros, your osteos, massage therapist, physiotherapist. Like these are people that you would think should know about these things. So my issue with this particular group of people, and obviously there are people that do a great job, and I'm not meaning to generalize, but a lot of times I find our personal trainers too, that's another issue because they'll throw out these statements like this. The problem is that the people they're talking to don't know any better.
That's right.
For the most part. So my problem with this situation right now is that, so now here's a 13 or 14-year-old who needs to start to train as an athlete. Because, especially in hockey, because draft year's coming up, like the judgments are coming now. Okay, so you're starting to go through puberty. It's the appropriate time to start training. Well, now he's going to go into his training thinking, well, I shouldn't be doing this type of movement because my physio guy, who should know because he's a physiotherapist, is saying, no, I shouldn't do deadlifts, or no, I shouldn't load my back on a squat or whatever. And obviously, we're not saying you need to go and train like a jackass and put 400 pounds on the bar when you don't know how to squat properly yet. But if you're going to any intelligent trainer, that's not how they're teaching you how to train from day one, right? So now this kid has it in his head that, oh, I shouldn't be doing deadlifts, and that's the reason that I'm getting a sore back. Yeah. So it's just irresponsible of whoever these people are that that these kids are going to, whether it's a chiro or a physio or a massage person or whatever, whoever. And now that kid has an issue when he goes into the gym. And now the parents have an issue when he goes to the gym because they're like, well, my physio guy said that I shouldn't be doing deadlifts. And obviously my physio guy knows more than my trainer about what he should be doing, right? Which is a reasonable thing to think.
Kinda, yeah.
Kinda.
Depends
right?
on what angle you're looking at, yeah.
So now we have a problem because this kid he needs to learn how to hinge. He needs to hinge. That's a base movement when you do strength training, especially as an athlete.
Yeah.
So it's not the deadlift that's the issue, or it's not the squat that's the issue. It's when you do things properly or you progress too fast and you're not ready for the load that you're carrying. Like that's when issues can come in from doing those movements. It's not just deadlifts are bad or just squats are bad. And then the other piece of it, before I toss it back to you, is so what is the thought process when you're the person saying that? So if you're the physio guy